there was an aisle that you could walk down behind the stand, along beside the windows that faced Winter Street, and then over on this end were the lockers, she said. And I think a women's restroom was over here, a men's restroom was over here. Pretty well got it?
They had a young people's league too, because Dave Dorsey was in it. He was in my class.
Okay.
Somewhere, I've seen at my house, my father was kind of a daredevil, and there's actually a picture of him of a crane. They closed down Winter Street, and they took out the windows, and they cut the lanes, I think, into 3 sections. And I just can't imagine anyone allowing you to do this today, but there's a picture of him with the chain around 1/3 of the bowling lane. And he's literally sitting on the bowling lane. Now, for what purpose? I have no damn idea. If that thing was going to move, there was nothing he could do other than probably die.
Wow, what a memory. We loved it. And you know, from the very beginning, if you have photographs or stories, things like this, we'd love to have that record at the Historical Society. A digital copy of that picture would be wonderful.
I will talk to my sister and see if she has it.
Okay.
And see that she gets a copy to you.
Thank you. Thanks for
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
part of this tonight.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. You know, the best ads were in the Westland yearbooks. Because they actually use pictures. The high school yearbooks sometimes would put an ad but wouldn't put a picture. The Westland yearbooks, that's where this is from. I saw a hand there, somebody, yes.
On the west side there was also 2 pool tables.
And 2 pool tables, right, up there on the west side of the place. Eventually it became the rec center for a period of time for the youth. I think we have one more like that. Oh, okay, there we go. Well, getting back to this street here too, about this building, and there they are building this building the New York Cash Store. The New York Cash Store opening in 1908, and I think, Susan, we figured it lasted about 20 years.
15.
15 years.
It went into receivership
Okay.
in 1915.
1915 is when it ended then. And yet, it was such a big store because this whole building was that department store. It was not any other business. So all of these businesses that are in here now were part of that cash store. That was so large, so many employees, that they held reunions for over 50 years and had large reunions once a year of the employees and their families who had worked at the New York Cash Store. There, we're talking about that building. I had somebody wanted to ask a question or a comment?
Sorry,
Yes.
was it a chain? Why was it called the New York Cash Room?
It was a chain, yes. Uh-huh.
Well, is it just a department store? Or?
Yes, a clothing store. Yes.
You could walk from one store to the other. It was open all the way through.
I don't know if you heard that, but you can walk all the way through, he said, from one end to the other.
Starboard Strand, where little Eagle was.
Okay, with the, yes.
Before the theater, and we went clear up to Sandusky.
Okay, wow.
There was, I think, 8 or 10 different stores. They were all connected, that floor, you go from one to the other.
Interesting, wow.
Sounds like a mall.
It does, it sounds like a wall, yes. Betty?
I'm not sure if anybody remembers it, but did they have chandeliers hanging around the interior of this thing? Because there's medallions still up here on the ceiling that are 3 of them, 3 of them right above us here that I think probably were original to the building.
Okay. Our next one. Part of that then, at one point along this street, there was a Robinson Shoe Store. I may be able to find what address that was, but an ad out of the newspaper for it. Again, I believe it was on this side of the street.
Well, I think it was in the cash store.
It was in the cash store then.
After it closed.
Okay, yeah.
Since 24 East Winter.
Okay, yes, yes. And of course the Strand. I just stopped at the Strand to get just a little more information just before I came in here tonight. as you know, this is getting close to their 100th year. They opened April 10, 1916, 7 o'clock in the evening for their first performance. They have a full, I'm not going to read all that right now, but back here on the table, there is the large newspaper copy of that belongs to the Strand, describing that. Describing what it's like, what it looks like inside, 800 people seating inside, and some things about that. Always located there at 28 East Winter. Of course, there were a number of movie theaters at that time in the city, but that one was the premier one. And when it opened, the crowds and all that it would gather, they would say that on a Friday night, or any night, when a Strand performance was going on, it was such a big thing that stores downtown often would not close if the movie is still going on, because they thought they might get customers out of that. So your downtown businesses would watch to see when the movie ended, so that they could stay open long enough for the people to have a chance to come to their store afterwards. And that might be 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. They would keep our eye out on that. Some of the things we found out about it too is that in 1949, the famous actor by the name of Charles Colburn, the monocle man from back in the early movies, he came for a premiere of his movie. They opened it here at this theater, and we have a picture of him we found just recently of him standing there at the marquee there for that grand opening. Others who've been there, an old cowboy by the name of Tom Mix came and performed there at one point. Also, Admiral Byrd of the North Pole exhibition, and his famous husky he brought with him. Vincent Minnelli, the movie director, painted the backdrop for that movie, and for the stage there. Any other memories that any of you have of the Strand? Yes, Joe.
Well, you know, it was built as a vaudeville house as well as a theater. So the dressing rooms are still up there as part of that, and you know, the theater is intact. They came in and blew the center out of the department store and inserted the theater itself. It wasn't just a matter of boxing areas off. That was new construction, because back to one of the concerns they had was the nitrocellulose film that they were using, that is just not flammable, it's explosively flammable, and they were using open flame at that carbon arc to light the projector. So fire was always a really big fear, and that's what this building is a real joy to work with, because it's all masonry, and even the floor above us, we're dealing with concrete floors and things, because that was one in the Strand building. The theater proper is all masonry to stop fire, and that was there were shutters that dropped to contain the projection booth in the event of fire in the projection booth, to save the auditorium. That was the big thing that they were concerned about.
Wow, you see that in the article that's on that table there. They go into some detail on the construction of it as well. Did I see another hand pop up back there?
I was just waving to somebody.
Oh, okay. Well, let's move on. There's
Brad?
oh, yes, you got
I
it.
just wanted to mention too, something else I remember is in the 50s anyway, they had ushers, and they wore uniforms, and they had flashlights, and they showed you to your seat. And I find that humorous now.
Even as late as the mid-60s.
Was it? I couldn't remember when it stopped.
Your dad was an usher?
Not here, but in another town, it kept me 15 cents an
Got paid 15 cents an hour to be an usher. Wow. You mentioned about that with the flashlights going down the aisle. This man that I would tell this story about, that I think he would take this with good humor, because he told it to us with good humor. He went to the Strand Theater one